Boom. Now, the very important thing is my head in the bottom right corner. Is everybody seeing me? Excellent. All right, so here we go. Getting the gig, how to supercharge your prospecting and outreach with everyday AI. When I was putting this program together, I was insistent on having everyday AI in there because people are intimidated by the technology. The thing is, you don't need to be intimidated by this technology. When I first started playing with AI, and I was playing with it because at first, like everybody else, I used it as a toy. It could do really cool things. And a lot of speakers at this point are still obsessed with all the really cool things it can do. Now, I wrote a couple books on marketing for speakers. A lot of people have already read book. That was that. My first one, DIY Marketing for Consultants, Trainers, and Professional Speakers, sold tens of copies. I think it paid itself. I think it paid for itself in the end. But Booked has sold lots and lots of copies. That came out. That was a co write with Ed Rigsbee a few years ago, and it was all about finding paid engagements because a lot of the times we're finding gigs that aren't paid. Now, this presentation is not a smoke show. At the end of this, you are going to use AI for sales. It's not going to be about sizzle. I don't care if AI can translate you in real time into Mandarin. If you cannot sell your speech in English, it doesn't matter how many languages you can't sell it in. So we're going to not focus on all the cool things it can do and really focus on how you can use it every day in your business to push the revenue needle higher and higher. Now, at the end of this, I'm going to show you really easy prompts to build an ideal list of events and gigs that you can start applying to right away. By the end of this call, you're going to have your own list and you're going to say, I've got a prospecting list. These are people I can approach right now. I can apply for these gigs. I'm going to show you how to use the AI to personalize those pitches because one of the big things that speakers tend to do is when they submit for an event, they submit their generic RFP and say, I will customize this to my audience. You can now, with using AI, customize your RFP before anybody sees it. So it's already designed, pre-designed for the event you're applying to. This is how you are going to build your business. I guarantee it. Now, again, when we talk about all the flim-flam that goes around with AI, you might remember the season 4, episode 12 of The Simpsons, where Marge versus the monorail, where the guy comes in and tries to sell the town a useless monorail that nobody will ever use. That's not what this is about. This is not about selling you something that is not going to help your business. This is about showing you how you can use these tools to grow your business and grow it quicker than you ever thought possible.
Now,
AI,
Aiden, let me just jump in for 1 second because I want
yeah,
everybody to hear what he just said. He said about growing your business. He didn't say about getting more speeches, right? Because it does both. And I know because Aiden, you and I have talked behind the scenes, he's using this with other professions, not speakers, to help them find target audiences and markets for their businesses. These are not people who want to be professional speakers looking for speaking gigs. These are different business and different industries that are looking to increase their influence within those industries. So, what he's sharing with you is not necessarily just about speaking. Is it good for speaking? You betcha. But it's also great for helping you position your business and attract the right clients in your marketplace. So just keep that in mind while you're listening to the rest of the stuff Aiden is sharing.
yeah, that's the great thing about AI. You can tell it to do whatever you want it to do. It'll either be able to do it or it won't be able to do it. And it doesn't judge you if you ask it to do something and it doesn't work. It isn't magic. It's not scary. It's just a sales tool. And if you embrace it as just a sales tool and not as magic, demystify the whole thing. I want to demystify that today. You are going to be ahead of everybody else. And I just did a webinar a few weeks ago and I set out a poll and I didn't want to screw anything up by doing a poll in this one here, but I can give you the results in a minute. And I asked everybody, and this was a webinar to professional speakers. And I asked, are you using AI to find speaking gigs? That's paid AI. Are you paying the 20 bucks a month to ChatGPT or Perplexity or any other AI service? Are you paying that money to access the full power of it? 57% of the people on this webinar, and there was over 100 people on the webinar, said yes. 42%, almost 43% said no, they're not paying for AI or using AI in any real way. Now, what that tells me is that rocket ship is everybody who's using AI, and that lonely astronaut is the guy who's not. They have to do all the grunt work, and AI is doing the work for everybody else and helping them accelerate. The amount of time I save using AI every week would blow your mind. Back in October, I stopped working Fridays. You go, well, why did you? It's not because I'm a gajillionaire. It's because I had run out of stuff to do in my business by Fridays. And what I was doing was I was buying ads on Facebook and promoting posts on LinkedIn and just wasting money. It became cheaper for me on Fridays not to open my computer and go for a walk and hang out because my kids are at school and I had a free day. It was awesome. And after the May long weekend, I'm not working Thursdays either because AI is doing the work for me. And we have to get ourselves out of the mindset that just because we're trained to work Monday to Friday, we have to put in Monday to Friday hours. If you can get all your work done in 3 days, enjoy your life. AI can help you do that. You can grow your business, be successful, and save time. Now, here's the thing. If I was gifted every tool that AI offered, or gifted every tool that Black & Decker made, I still couldn't finish my basement. You could go ahead and subscribe to every AI tool that's out there. If you don't use them properly, or you don't use them at all, well, you may end up cutting that person in half in the middle of this AI generated video. I don't know, or this picture. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. You need to use the tools properly. Just paying for the tools isn't going to help you. Just like paying for a gym membership isn't going to help you get fit if you never go. You need to learn how to use the tools. The great thing is, this is not high school grade 11 functions math. It's very easy to do if you can do the mind shift to start thinking about how to use the tools and learn to speak their language. It's never been easier. And I'm going to show you why it's never been easier. With every tool, like I said, you don't need every tool. What you need is, you just need to master a few. For me, I use ChatGPT, right? I had a Perplexity subscription. I let it lapse. I wasn't using it enough. So I pay my 20 bucks to ChatGPT. I've learned to use it really well. And because I'm using it really well, I don't need all the other stuff. I don't need the assistance with the other things because I can get ChatGPT to do whatever I want it to do because I've learned the tool. And I've learned how to engineer the proper prompts to get it to do what I want it to do. And these are very simple. If you have access to YouTube, you can go to YouTube and just ask, how do I write proper prompts? There's lots of videos that people are creating on how to write proper prompts for ChatGPT. I always say that specificity is the key. The more specific you are in your ask, the better the output will be. If you ask a very general question, and I'm going to show you an example of general versus specific in a little bit. If you ask a very general question, it's going to give you a very general answer. If you ask it a very specific question, it will do the search to find the answer to that specific question. So I don't know, people still treat it like Google, where they go, I'm going to give it a really broad ask, and then I'll go through the results. That's not the way AI works. Give it a really tight ask, look at the results, and then iterate on those results. If that's not the result you were looking for, what did it pick up on that you can add to your next prompt, and iterate your ask until it gives you the right result? Whether that be articles, emails, anything you want to generate through AI, ask it and be specific. Because the more, if you just get and we all get I'm getting a lot of AI generated email outreaches now. And they all sound the same, right? They all end with warm regards. I don't know. For some reason, anytime I see something with warm regards, I know it's somebody did this in AI and they just pasted it in. So here's your first hot tip. If you're asking AI to write an email, always say, do not use warm regards. That'll put you already ahead of everybody else. So there it is, clarity and simplicity. That's what you want. Don't overcomplicate things. Just ask and iterate. Now, I learned this because I was an early adopter of AI. This is an AI picture. I don't look like that. I've got a gap between my front teeth. But I uploaded my picture and said, generate a picture of me adopting AI as an early adopter. So this is what it gave me. My wife would say I love it more than my own children. Sometimes I do. Not going to lie. Especially when they stay home with pink eye, like one of them did today. How I got into the early adoption of it was AppSumo. Now, the story that I have to tell about AppSumo, and I don't know if anybody's using AppSumo here, it is a marketplace where you pay once and you own software forever. And with that, at appsumo.com, I found, just after ChatGPT launched, a tool that created AI chatbots for websites. So I went in and I got the thing. I said, oh, this would be great for my website. I'm going to train it on my website, train it on my book. I'll put the AI on my website. It can be my 24/7 sales agent. And that was great. It's like that. It worked perfectly. But I looked at the prompt and I noticed that just because it was designed, that's the way it was marketed to me, that's not the only way that tool could work. So I went in and I changed the prompt. And instead of asking it to be a sales agent, I asked it to create RFPs based on a description of a talk or a topic. And I trained it on my book, Booked, The Insider's Guide to Speaker Selling to Associations, because that goes over the outline for how to actually write an RFP, how to do your outreach, takes into account the mindset of decision makers at associations. And so I created this tool and I called it the Keynote Accelerator, where people would go in and they would put in their topic, and then the tool would filter that topic through what it knows from my book and our website. And it would give them the short description, the long description. Everybody who's submitted an RFP knows this. The short description, the long description, the attendee takeaways, benefits. And it created all of that along with the snappy title. It was amazing. I'm a guy who always plays with technology. Most of the time, it doesn't work the first time. AI was the first time I tried to create something where it worked right out of the box. It was so impactful that I immediately added the tool to my membership site and launched it to everybody who was in my community. Everybody was stunned. Now, remember, this is the first version of ChatGPT. It was trained up to a subset of data up to the beginning of 2022. So it wasn't even really in real time, but it did advance. And then when ChatGPT went out into the world and started visiting websites in real time, I had another idea. Why not take that approach where it's filtering and creating the talks, and then have the AI go out onto the internet and find engagements or find associations where this talk would be a good fit. Now, I'm going to just show you in real time the latest version of the Keynote Accelerator. And I am going to, let's see. Dennis, I'm going to use you. You're going to be my victim. Do you mind?
Nope, go right ahead.
All right, so I'm going to say, I'm going to put your website in there. Right? So that's right.
Yep, you got it.
I'm going to add that. So it's going to be, so now it's looking at your website. We're going to look for a breakout. And Dennis, give me a talk. Any one of your talks. Just give me a brief one sentence on what it's about.
Sales and communication. How to use speaking to sell your product or service.
Now, guys, for this tool to really give you an amazing answer, you want a couple paragraphs giving more details on what you have. But this is fine for a demo. So if I hit submit here, what you're going to find out is the AI goes and it visits Dennis' website. It takes all that into account. So it's looking, it's doing the research. This isn't Google. It does take a second. And while it's doing this, let me just tell you, when I started in this industry back in 2005, looking for paid speaking engagements was a full-time job where I was working as the marketing director for a professional speaker at the time. And what happened was that I would work all week, and by Friday, I'd have like 3 events that would be a good fit for them. So we have just put in a few things about Dennis. It's created a keynote proposal, speak to sell, transforming your communication into revenue. There's the overview, the objectives and learning outcomes, the audience benefits, the format, and a call to action to organizers. Then it mentioned the NSA, but it brings up a whole bunch of organizations where this talk would be a good fit. So let's just take one of these. Let's go to the National Sales Professionals and go down to this other tool that I have. And I'm just going to paste that entire event in there. Nothing crazy. And I'm going to put your talk in there. I'm going to put the whole, watch this. And I'm going to copy all this. Go down here, paste that RFP in there. Dennis Cummins. What this tool does now is it visits the website of the organization. In this case, it's the National Association of Sales Professionals. It looks for the top 3 challenges of people attending that event. Creates an introduction email to the organizer that incorporates the challenges. So you're saying, hey, I understand your members are experiencing this issue. This is how I can fix it. This is where my keynote is really going to help your members. It gives you a voicemail script, again, customized using the information from the RFP and the stuff that it's learned from the research it's done on the challenges. And then it creates a customized RFP for that specific event. So it's taken the generic RFP that it did, and it has created a second a new RFP that's totally customized. And then you can download the PDF of it here if you wanted to do that. That tool is just a generic, very simple tool. All I did was ask the AI. When I learned that it could visit websites and do analysis, I simply went to my original version of Keynote Accelerator and said, can you do this? And guess what? It did it. It was absolutely amazing. Now, as we move forward, we're getting those AI-powered lead generation devices where it is giving us detailed events that we can apply to that are not only paying events, but they are events that are aligned to our subject. I could do a search in Las Vegas for events. It's going to give me hundreds of events because there's hundreds of events happening in Las Vegas every month. These tools, AI, if it's trained on your stuff, it will only find those events that are a good fit for you. So you're not wasting your time filtering through dozens of events that your expertise doesn't have any kind of real resonance with.
And that's a great point, Aiden. For those of you that are using, like, if you're using AI for those searches, include those filters in your prompting, right? So there's nothing here that requires proprietary software.
No.
It'll make your life a lot easier, but this is all stuff that you can prompt yourself with just a simple ChatGPT account. But when you're prompting, you're not just looking for speaking events, on what topic, in what range, if you know somebody else who's spoken there. There's another, Aiden, Sam Richter has another search engine who it's a great search engine, but it enables you to see where other people similar to you have spoken. So you can include that in your prompting. There's so many great ways for you to do this, but be smart about it. The more, I liked what you said, the more you can kind of hone it down and the more specific you can be, the better the answer you're going to get and the less time you're going to waste.
And that's the thing. We waste a lot of time as speakers, whether it's researching gigs that really have no relevance to what we do, or applying to gigs and submitting RFPs, and they don't tell you to the last page of the RFP submission that they don't pay speakers. So what we're encouraging people to do as a strategy, and that's why on that output from the Keynote Accelerator, the first thing you saw was the email and voicemail. We want you to send the email and leave the voicemail. And because it's so highly targeted to those people and customized to those people, they're going to respond. And that's when you have that sales conversation. What is your speaker budget? And if the speaker budget is zero, then you don't have to waste 20 minutes setting it an RFP. If we don't pay our speakers, that's fine. Or, you know what? You can pay us $1,500. There's a lot of exposure. You don't have to do any of that. It's like, okay, I don't do pay for play. I just do paid. And so send the email, leave the voicemail. When they get back to you, have the sales conversation. What do they pay speakers? That is critical. Otherwise, you're going to come up with a whole bunch of RFPs. You'll do all this customization. You'll start applying. And then here's what happens. You get to the second last page of the RFP and it says, we don't pay speakers. But you've just invested 15 or 20 minutes putting in this RFP. Do you hit submit or do you back out? Human nature is you've gone this far, you'll probably hit submit.
No, but Aiden, I do want to point out though, many of the people that are part of the Corporate Speakers Council, and there are other business owners who, listen, I've been paid a lot of money to speak all over the place. I will speak for free because I've got a program or product that I know that I can present to their audience. So, yes, this will help you find those paid speaking gigs, but this will also help you find audiences that while you may not get paid, there is an opportunity to receive remuneration on the back end. So
yeah,
could you just clear that up a little bit for us?
Sure, absolutely. So I actually do this tool, the AI Stage Finder for speakers, is primarily to help speakers find paid engagements. However, I do have another tool for financial planners and financial advisors, which they're not allowed to get paid. So it only looks for unpaid speaking engagements, and it searches. If you give it a zip code, it will search for. If you're looking for Lions clubs or local library opportunities or church groups, or you just put in what you're looking for, and it will give you a listing of all of them within that zip code that they can apply to, and again, speak for free. So yeah, there are different business models for speaking. Obviously, advisors and planners, they're looking to pick up clients. And so if you're not looking to get paid to speak, you can totally make this so that I'm only looking for opportunities where I'm in front of my ideal audience. And that's Deb, right. You've got a question.
I do. Just a quick question. This is fabulous. I mean, this is great, but as non-members, we can't access it. So
I'm just showing you I'm not trying to sell you on our membership to our group. Don't worry about that.
but is there another resource?
Yeah,
and you might be going to do it later. So
I'm going to do it later. I'm
okay.
going to actually walk through, and I believe, Dennis, I sent you a speaker prompt sheet last week. I don't know if Rebecca has it or not. If not, I'll be able to find it. We can get it up there in a bit. But I've got a speaker prompt sheet. It's 11 pages long that you guys can all download at the end, and that tool will again do an awful lot of this work. Right. My job is to take the drudgery out of the sales and prospecting, because that is the worst part of speaking. Like, it really is the worst part. We all love being on stage. We all love giving our message. We all love reaching people and connecting with people. But man, sitting down at a computer on Monday morning and going, okay, Google, find me events in October that are like that was my life for a long time. And it's emotionally draining. It's exhausting. And sometimes you get through the whole week, you find nothing really. And now these tools, within 7 or 8 seconds, and I'll show you how to do it on ChatGPT, within 7 or 8 seconds, you're getting all these leads. And it's just like this kind of miracle that you can find all these leads. And think about those 43% of speakers that aren't using AI. They're still doing it the old-fashioned way. And by doing that, if you are using AI, if you're paying that $20 a month to ChatGPT, and let's face it, guys, you're paying that for Hulu and Netflix and all this stuff where the money just goes out the door. But ChatGPT is a resource that will actually build your business. It's worth the $20.
Yeah, Aiden, I don't see the prompt sheet, so if we can find that later on.
Yeah, I'll find it later on and send it out.
If not, here's what I will do. I'll make sure that I email that, or Rebecca emails that directly to everybody in the Speakers Council. So perfect. I'll make sure that everybody gets it at the end, or you'll get it in an email later today or tomorrow. So
perfect. So there will be a resource to help you, Deb. Don't worry. And then personalized outreach, like AI helps you personalize things. We just saw it on the Keynote Accelerator that I created, that, it does the research. It finds the top challenges. The latest iteration of my tool does a SWOT analysis of the association as well. So it'll do a SWOT analysis of the association. Then it does some research into the attendees' challenges and integrates both of those into the outreach.
Hey, Aiden, just because not everybody's familiar with corporate speak, tell everybody what SWOT is.
Oh, it's geez. SWOT. Come on,
Dennis, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities.
There we go. Strengths, weaknesses, threats. There we go. See, I blank out when it's not in front of me. But yes, so I've got to do. But all I had to do was ask it, and I added it to the prompt. Somebody asked me, "Can you get it to do a SWOT analysis?" And I was like, "Well, let's just see." And I didn't have to train it or anything. I just put it in there, and it did the research, and it came out with the strength, weakness, opportunity. I think it had that all listed, and then it integrates that into the proposals. So again, when we look at the personalized outreach and we think about personalized outreach and what that personalized outreach means, it gets people to open their emails. It gets people to read the email and really become engaged. It's not just another spammy introduction email. Hi, I'm Aiden. I'm a speaker. I see you've got an event coming up in October, and I think I'd be a good fit because it's like, yeah, that's not customized enough. You need to demonstrate that you understand the challenges of the people that are going to be at that event. How do you address those challenges? And with AI, if it's trained on your stuff and it's identified those challenges already in your introduction emails, you're becoming so attractive to the decision maker because you are head and shoulders above everybody else. Because you're actually addressing a need that they recognize, and as opposed to just submitting a generic RFP. Now, the latest one is the AI Stage Finder. This one here is a custom tool, and it's actually trained on everything that you have. And how this came about was I was speaking in Chicago back in November at Roosevelt University, and it was AI and hospitality and tourism. And the event went really well. I was doing it with a friend of mine, Jim Feldman. And afterwards, he was like, how do we keep this going? And of course, I mentioned the tools that are on the ASSC site, the speaker community site. I said, well, we could use all those. Or, and this just hit me, I woke up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night and said, or I could just train it on our stuff so that it only finds events for us. And Jim said, do you think it could do that? He wasn't with me in the middle of the night. It was when I woke up later that day. I called him. He said, will this work for us? It's like, well, we can try it. So I created a tool. And if I go, I've actually got that up here. So this one here, this is just a quick demo on it. So this one here is for, get rid of that. So this is a fake speaker called Ashley Reynolds. Ashley Reynolds is a servant leadership speaker. This tool is trained on everything Ashley Reynolds. So a fake website, her bio, her programs, everything. We just need to pick where Ashley wants to speak. So let's go somewhere else. Let's go, I actually know, I'm going to go Orlando. And we're going to go October 2025. And why, you might be asking, why am I asking for October 2025? Very simple. Most planners and decision makers are looking for speakers 6 to 9 months out. So if you're looking for speaking engagements in May, they've already found their speakers. So don't worry about it. You want to do a search for 6 months to 9 months. And so what I've done here, it's now looking for events that are a good fit for Ashley Reynolds. So it found 6. So let's go to this Fall Leadership Institute one. Bring over to the Keynote customizer. And all I'm doing is copying and pasting all of it, not doing anything else. And so what it's doing now is it's visiting the websites, finding all the information about it, and it's going to create a custom output for it.
Now, Aiden, while that's doing that, Deb mentioned, is there a free version of this? Yeah, this is actually using on the back end ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It just, everything has been sequenced in there. So you could have your own version of ChatGPT, go and find an event in this time frame, in this topic, and then you could say, please use my information to create and you could do a version.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything that you're seeing, you can do on your own. You do not need additional software for it. Or if you want the software, it just makes life easy. Now, I will say, Aiden, because we've worked together and I've had this conversation with you. I've used Aiden's software and I think it's I love it. I think it's great. However, it does give you a lot of, it requires, even with the automations that it has, there's ongoing tweaking that has to happen with it, because I'll get, like, if I put a sales communication event, it comes up with a lot of sales conferences, but they are the speaker. They're putting on their own sales conference, so they don't need an outside expert to come in. So we've had to continuously tweak and eliminate certain searches, add other searches. But it's the same thing that I would do, and I was doing on chat on my own when I've been looking for these things, or when you're Googling it. There's just ways to make yourself more time effective.
And that's the thing, the drudgery and of looking for this stuff, it just exhausts you. And if you don't have a VA doing it and you're doing it yourself, it's soul sucking. It really is soul sucking. By the end of it, you're like, it's like, I've worked 8 hours today looking for things. I don't feel like I've accomplished anything because I found one potential. And then when I did any exploration, they're not paying me. And it's like, this is just, that was a waste of my day. And we've all had those days. So with this output, because it's already trained on all Ashley's stuff and all her programs, it researched the challenges. It created a conversational introduction email. And here's the thing. if you'll notice, I said styled like David Ogilvy. Now, David Ogilvy is probably the greatest marketing writer who ever lived. And he's dead, so he's not going to sue me for asking it to write emails like David Ogilvy. His estate, I suppose, could come after me. But so what it does, it just makes it a more engaging outreach. And again, it's understanding the challenges. You have a keynote that will help them and why you're uniquely qualified. That's your first email. There's the voicemail.
Aiden, can I just comment something?
Yeah.
So I've created many of my own personas in ChatGPT, and I've put articles that I've written, my book that I've written, all of that. And I've asked, so when I want to write something like a proposal or something of that nature, I go into that persona and I ask it to write like I write.
Yeah.
And I might say, you know, you're a marketing executive like or I generally just say you're a marketing executive. But because I have all of my content there, although I'm frustrated because it caps my content, but it
they just upped the caps.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. So there you go.
Oh, that's great news because I got a lot more to add.
I read it this morning, so there you go.
But anyhow, I really highly recommend it because the things really start to sound in your voice.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why this tool is totally trained on this persona. So this is the voice of Ashley, except for the email, which I want the email to be, because I know some speaker buddies and they create, honestly, their voice is terrible. Their emails are atrocious. They can't write for crap. And even after I've given them these tools, it's like, so what do you, it's like, I'm not getting any response. Well, send me what you're sending out. And I see it's like, but our tool generates an email that actually answers all the questions that these people are going to want. The one you just sent me is illiterate. Doesn't make any sense. Nobody's going to hire you based on that email. And so with AI, I don't like to think of it as a finished product. That's why it was the Keynote Accelerator, not the Keynote Generator. It's an accelerator. It gets you 75, 80 to 85% there, although it's getting better every week. Every time they improve ChatGPT, the outputs get better. And this is just an example because this one here is using the latest version of ChatGPT. 4.1, I think is the latest one. But it also generates the follow-up sequence that you can put in your CRM and when you should be sending it. May 15th, this one's supposed to go out. There's the value reminder. Then here's the other one, the last try. Is she still on the radar? So you've got these follow-ups you could drop into your CRM as well to the decision maker. And then again, the customized RFP that's specific for that event with, again, the short description, the detailed description, learning objective, benefits, speaker bios, because it's trained on all her bios. And then what it does is it goes out and it looks for other events that are similar to the one you just customized. So it just found me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other events that basically I can cut and paste these up into the top of this form, wash, rinse, repeat. I could be generating these things constantly. Like if you've got a tool like this, or using not even just a tool like this, I'm not here to sell the tool. Obviously it'd be nice if everybody bought the tool, but generally, if you're using AI, you can accelerate your application process. Think of those 43% of people that aren't using AI, that aren't experiencing this and don't have that productivity boost. We always talk about productivity. How much can we do? With AI, it's like a jetpack on your back for productivity. Like it's giving you all these leads that are a good fit for you. And that is critical. So let's get back to it.
I just want to share something with everybody. So in my conversations with Jeff, we were talking about, when he was sourcing, when he was doing more keynote speaking before building C-Suite Network, he had Tyler as a full-time employee finding places for him to speak. And I was speaking with Carl and Tyler and Jeff, and they shared, so he has a spreadsheet of the action steps necessary to fill Jeff's calendar with speaking events.
Ooh.
This is not a joke. but the spreadsheet was 279 lines long, and it went across about 18 columns. Those were the steps necessary for Tyler and their systems to go through to find places to speak. You know, being able to do this as a tool now, or to use ChatGPT and create your own search things, like, what an amazing opportunity this is for all of us right now.
And because it's so new, like somebody called me an AI guru a couple weeks ago.
I think that was you, Aiden.
I didn't call myself a guru. Like my first book was the non-guru guide. I hate the term. I don't like the word. But somebody called me an AI guru, and it's like, I'm just a messer arounder. Like, that's what I do. Like, I started playing with this because I was curious, and I was treating it like a toy, and I wondered, what can I do with my toy? And so it didn't make me a guru. I was just playing with it, and it didn't take, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room. You're all smarter than me. So it didn't take that much effort to learn it, even for me. Like, really, if you just throw yourself into it and engage with it and have fun with it, I think that's the most important thing. If you have fun with your AI and you're going, I wonder if it could do this, you don't have to go through a lot of steps. You can do it. And think of the 43% of speakers that aren't using AI, that don't have that advantage that you do, because you're getting on it early. You're using ChatGPT, you're finding these engagements that they're going all week and they're finding 2 or 3. And within a minute or two, you're finding 15 or 20. Like that's scale. Like that's a scale that I find unbelievable. And I think maybe my enthusiasm and my wonder comes from the fact that I've been doing this for 20 years. And I remember how hard it was, how tough it was. And I'm jealous of everybody who's getting into it now and has these advantages that I didn't have. It's like the people that learned to type in the 70s. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, word processors come out in the late 80s and computers come out. It's like, oh, I don't have to like use whiteout on my typewriter to make corrections. It just got a lot easier and it helped productivity. This is the equivalent of you moving from a typewriter to a computer. That's where we are. And people that are still doing their work on their typewriters are not going to be able to compete with you. And that's not a scare tactic to people that aren't. Really, it's $20. It's open to everybody. This is a very democratic technology. Everybody can afford the $20. If you can afford $20 for Netflix or Hulu, you can afford $20 for this. And this will make a difference in your life, in your work life, in your personal life, because it gives you back time. We get one kick at the can. Do you want to spend all of it looking for gigs? No. You want to reclaim some of your time, reclaim some of your life. Let this do it. This is why the personalization wins. Your open rates are going to be higher. When it's personalized, like they talk about click-through rates, but look at the response rate. That's what you want. You send a generic email to a decision maker, they're not going to respond to you. They know it's because they get lots of them. They get hundreds of them every day from speakers, practically begging them to speak. You don't want to come in begging to speak. You want to come in from a position of strength. You have something to offer. You have value to their members. You have value to everybody in that audience. There is going to be a return to the organization that brings you in. You don't need to beg. You're sending out a personalized email that the AI has helped craft. And again, cut and paste the email into a Word document. Don't just cut and paste it into your email and send it. Look at it first. The AI can get you 85% there. You do need to read the email that it generates.
Aiden, I just want to jump in with one point. We talk about the response rate and the customization. There was a word that was in one of the letters that were automatically generated by what you said. And I think this is a strategy that you should all be using when you're searching for gigs. Number one is ask ChatGPT, and I know that Aiden Software does it, but you can just ask ChatGPT, hey, what are the main challenges of the audience that I'm speaking to? Or what are the main challenges going on at the company? And you could tell it, search social media, search news articles to find out what are their big challenges, what are their big growths, what are their big opportunities, where are they expanding, what is their, all of that stuff. You can have chat do those searches for you. But then you also have to know what the people want. What does the event planner want? And I will tell you, and the reason I just occurred back to me, Aiden, because it was the word that was in the letter that you wrote, and it was talking about transformation. People who are hiring speakers, they just don't want a motivational speaker. They just don't want a high energy. They want an outcome. They want transformation. They want your message to actually impact in some way their team, their employees, and their audience, so that the money that they've invested in paying you has a return. So when you're creating or editing or fine-tuning these emails, make sure that there's some outcome, there's some tangible, transformative element to what you're proposing or what you're stating that you're going to do. That's what people want. They don't just want you to come in and razzle dazzle them for 90 minutes. They want the razzle dazzle, but they also want stuff to linger afterwards. They want to see change and transformation. So make sure that you're including that in the letters and the proposals that you're writing.
Definitely. Listen, if you want to, looks like we're already, Deb, you were asking about the prompts. I'm going to give you some prompts, but I want to show you something else, something that I've been playing with the last couple of weeks. And again, if you're using ChatGPT, and this is the free one, everybody can use this. If everybody's got ChatGPT, this deep research button at the bottom here. This is a search I did last week. I was showing, I was meeting with somebody and I was showing them how to leverage ChatGPT to find speaking engagements. So this person had already spoken to a chapter of the American Bankers Association. So they'd already spoken to them. They're a great association. They have over 100 events every year and they pay. Budget and opportunity. Love them. So American Bankers Association. So I said, create a list of state chapters of the American Banking Association, include the websites for each, text, not hyperlinks, the names and contact information of the leadership team at each chapter. Using the deep research, it then asks some follow-up questions. Are you looking for all 50 states? You want the current leadership? Email, phone number sufficient, or the mailing address? It's like, I'll take all 50. I just want either the director of meetings, director of events, or the executive director for each. Give me the mailing addresses as well. I don't know if I'll ever use the mailing addresses, but now I have them. It took 25 minutes. It searched 59 sources, and it gave me all the information. If you're paying the $20 a month, you can do this for any association. The one thing I would have added to this would be, and also the dates of the next meeting. I did that. Okay, so I did ask it. So there's the next meetings. So now I know I can fast forward to, there's June, there's one in February. So, Honolulu, let's see if we can get on that one. You look down to September, November, September, there's all in there. So you're finding ones that you can actually do some outreach to and speak to those chapters. And that's just a deep research. Here's the one thing you need to know about the deep research. It only gives you, at least as of yesterday, apparently, Evan, they did bump all the things up this morning, so I don't know if it's more now. But you get 10 of these as of yesterday. You got 10 deep researches a month. So much like asking a genie for a wish, use them wisely. So how would you use this tool? If you've ever spoken to anybody, any association, you can use this to find state chapters. You can use this to find the outreach. So you can use the opportunities you've already had. You've already been on stage, leverage those opportunities, those connections to do outreach to the sister organizations that you can speak to. Always look for the different opportunities. Evan, you've got a question?
Yeah. The $200 version of chat, is that worth buying? Do you buy it?
I'm going to say no. And I was very tempted to buy it the first day it came out because I was so thrilled with the tool. But the competition is such with DeepSeek in China and Gemini and all these other tools, the $200 is very expensive for something that ChatGPT doesn't, you don't really need it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need it. And I was totally prepared to give them my credit card, sign me up for $200 a month. And then I after I cooled down and had another cup of coffee, I said, let's see, I'll give it a while. Cause I'm building all these tools. At some point, you'd think I'd be running out of credits because all these tools are running on my credits. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to pay $200 so all my tools keep working. I haven't had a problem.
Yeah. I don't really understand what it does differently.
I think it gives you a preview of upcoming models, and it gives you a longer video. Again, a lot of it is a sizzle that I don't need. I'm focused on revenue, and I don't think that you need to spend $200 a month to use ChatGPT effectively for a speaking business or any business.
Yeah.
Right.
I just, I probably spend 5 to 10 hours a week on ChatGPT. So I'm big user like you are, although I'm learning so much in your webinar because I've never used it for this purpose. But I sit back and say, if I take the $200, dollars, maybe it's $2 more an hour or $4 more an hour, maybe it's worth it for me, but I don't know anybody doing it, so I have no reference point.
I consider myself a power user, and I don't come up across limits. So I don't I don't know who's using it more. There's people using it more than me. They need the two. Maybe you've got a Fortune 500 company and you need that many credits for all your different sales teams and stuff. But for a solopreneur or a small office, I don't think you need it. Carol, you've got a question?
Yes. So my question has nothing to do with AI. It has to do with how you are appearing on my screen, not in the little box next to your slide, but right there on your slide. I want to know how you do that.
That is magic. Okay, so
yes.
it's actually really easy. When you're going to share your screen, you'll see on the top right-hand corner kind of a little preview. You can drag it shows you where you want your face to show, and then you just drag it to the part of the screen you want it to appear. It's really simple.
And are you using something as basic as PowerPoint as your
just Zoom. It's Zoom. Just Zoom.
It's when you go and share your screen, you'll see more options of how to share your screen. It used to be you had to be in PowerPoint and you had to pick a block, and now it's much better.
Well, they just changed it the other day. They've deprecated the using your slides as a background. So now that's why I'm running this all on my browser, not with my slides as a background. But yeah, I'm glad it worked, because I only learned that yesterday, that I couldn't use my slides as a background. Shelly, you're on the phone, so this is where I'm going to call on you for your question.
You do need to think about what you're showing though, and where you are in terms of blocking.
Yeah, I preloaded my tabs, so I know which tabs I'm going to, right? So that makes it a little bit easier.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I use ChatGPT. I pay the $20 a month. I do research. I'll ask ChatGPT to research the web and see any HR things so I can create content for LinkedIn. I've asked it to create trainings for me. I've had it create commercials for me, creates the script and suggests the music. And I mean, I use it for I do stupid stuff. Like I have plants. I'll ask it for my plant's dying. What am I supposed to do with my plant? So I use it really for anything. Or I'm like, I got a bump on my ear. Like, what's this bump? What should I do? So I've had it do a SWOT analysis for me. I've had it looked up my competitors. So I really use ChatGPT a lot for everything. But it also has different things that you can use, like different what do they call them? Let me pull it up. Different
custom GPTs.
Yeah, different GPTs. that you can use. You know, you have a logo creator. There's one for your plants. You know, you have a bunch of them. There's Canva, there's Scholar GPT, there's a bunch of different ones. There's Dolly. So there's a
And
bunch of different ones that you can use.
And that's where it gets confusing for most people. Most people don't need all those tools. When I said at the beginning, focus on one or two of them, get to know those tools, get familiar with those tools, get comfortable with those tools. That will be a lot easier. I know a lot of speakers. Can't say I don't know hundreds of speakers that have done this, but I know a bunch of speakers that have gone to they've bought the Hey Gen, and then they've showed me the 1 minute of them speaking Mandarin, and it's like, that's really cool, but that's just a time waster. You know, you're getting distracted by the shiny objects. As speakers, we need to focus on the business, our business, and not just what's cool and what's fun to play with. And you need to differentiate with what it can do to what you should have it do. And that's where always look at the business and imperative behind the way you're using any business tool. What is the best way to leverage this for sales and my speaking business? That's how you should be thinking about it in this context. But yes, you could use it for, I was just saying before we started that I'm taking my son on a tour of Ireland because he wants to go to university in Ireland, and so in August, I'm taking over a tour of Ireland. I used ChatGPT deep research to find all the universities in Ireland that have sports management programs. And then I asked it to plot out a 7-day tour to visit all these campuses and include budget hotels because I'm cheap. And so we're going to stay at cheap hotels in every one of those little towns and visit those campuses for over the course of 7 days. And ChatGPT did it for me. First time I did this was I went to Venice, and I had it plot out I was only in Venice for 3 days. I asked it to give me a 3-day itinerary to make the most of my time in Venice. And it did it. I went with my wife, and I'm not very good at sticking to itineraries, but it did the job. It gave me great tips on where to go and what I needed to see. It was fantastic.
Hey, Shelley, I'm going to jump in on using ChatGPT, and it's the same strategy when I work with people, teaching them about why you're speaking in the first place. One of the first things that I say is start with the end in mind, right? If you're jumping on all these tools and stuff, my number one question that I would have for you is why? Why are you doing that? And if it's not whatever, your end is, do I want more business? Am I looking to speak more? Am I looking for more clients? Am I looking for consulting opportunities? If it's not one of those things, like, is using this tool going to take you there, right? Being popular on Instagram is not the same as generating revenue and business from Instagram. Having a lot of views on YouTube is not the same as using YouTube to actually generate business. There's a really unique gentleman. His name is, you can look him up on YouTube, Wes McDowell, I think is his last name, Wes McDowell. He's been doing YouTube videos, but he's got a really solid, I love his format because I teach it for speakers about illustrating a problem, demonstrating your expertise, talking about what holds people back, and then offering a solution. But he uses his YouTube as a conversion strategy for selling his courses and programs. So the same thing with ChatGPT. If you're using, if you want to use Aiden's tool or you're going to do it on your own, of all the tools that are out there, which ones or one is the one that's going to generate the revenue, generate the potential income, generate those potential clients for you, and stick with that, because the rest is busy stuff. Do it as a hobby, but if you're looking to build your business, business is business. Stick to the tools that are going to take you where you want to go.
We all know speakers, like great speakers that are starving and crap speakers that are doing really well. And the difference is focus. That in focusing on the business. Connie, you had a question. I saw your hand up. Do you still have a question?
Well, I actually have a comment, because I don't know if there's any other people on here that have a nonprofit or not. But through TechSoup, you can get a free version for your nonprofit, or, well, it's like $15 or something like that, of Microsoft 365, as well as Google. And included in those are, like with Office 365, it includes Copilot. And while you've been talking, I've been testing Copilot, and it's free. So if anybody has a nonprofit, it's available to you. And I just wanted to, TechSoup has a lot of great, they have some other AI stuff, but I just wanted to let people know that you can, I was paying the $20. I had no problem with that at all, but then I was getting it for free. So, and I was just testing it to see if it did the same thing as what ChatGPT was doing. So
Yeah,
just a
very cool,
comment.
Connie. Hey, Connie, you should share, if you would reach out to Hugh Ballou and his council on
Oh, I'm part of his council.
topics. I'm sure they would love to know about that if they don't already.
I will definitely do. You know what? I hadn't thought about it till just now. Thank you. I'll make sure I do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, awesome.
That's
All right,
awesome.
back to you, Aiden.
All right. So, okay. So now we're going to get into those prompts. Everybody was asking me, okay, now that I've given you the kind of explanation on how this can apply to your business and why it would make it really important. This is where you're going to want to start taking some pictures of the screen, because these prompts are the things that are going to help you grow your business. You don't need my tool. You don't need any tool. You just need ChatGPT. I'm a speaker on what? Create a list of associations and conferences in the United States whose members are likely facing challenges related to what problem do you solve? For each, list the date of the next annual meeting and explain how my topic would be relevant to their members. Include websites for reference. You can use the DeepSeek for this and say, give me 100 associations. There's over 100,000 associations, so there is an association for everything. And especially if the economy goes into the toilet, like some people are predicting, associations still have to have meetings. So corporate can cut back on meetings and trainings and workshops. Associations, their raison d'etre is to have meetings. So they will always have their meetings. So always keep an eye out on the association market. Now, what you'll also want to do is when you ask this, it's going to give you that list. And you're going to say, continue, 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 until you've got a list of 50 or 60 or 100, however long you want to make that list. And then you say, export all results as a CSV. And what that gives you is a prospect list. You then know these associations are a good target for me. And again, this kind of work used to take forever. Now, if you want to do a domestic search prompt, I'm a speaker on thing, list the US associations facing challenges related to what problem do you solve? Include the next event, the date, and the website. Always ask for the website. You want the website. You can ask deeper questions. With ChatGPT on my tool originally, I had it asking it to find the contact information for the executives, independent of deep research. And I had to take that off because it was making stuff up. So if it's going to make stuff up and you need to verify it, just take it off. So you want to make sure you've got to verify all the information it gives you. So it will give you, so it's going to give you a list of events. Again, you just go continue, 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 continue. You can do the same thing internationally. Find international conferences if you want to speak internationally. If you know what you're talking about, and we just showed you the deep research, you know, it's not going to take you all week. By Friday, you're not going to be, I can't wait to get away from my desk because I've only found 2 gigs. I've only applied to 3. If you could apply, let's say you could apply to 10 a day using ChatGPT, you can find all these events and you apply to 10 a day. You know, or even, 10 a day, multiply that by 5, you know, that's 50 a week, 200 a month. Like these are a lot of, I'm just going to keep going with my math until I give you like 10 years worth of events, but that's applying at scale. And that is something that was impossible to do 4 years ago. Like that's like when I talk about, if we flip back to the beginning of my slides, we're going about the early AI, that's only 3 years ago. We're talking about early AI. Like that's how quickly it's moved, that the stuff that it did 3 years ago that amazed us now seems like it's crap because it does so much more and it's improving every week. If you get in on AI now and learn how to use it, learn how to master these tools, or not even master, be competent at these tools. These are not tools you need to master. If you can become competent at using these tools, you are way ahead of so many other speakers, so many other business people, because they're not using it and they're still using it the old way. I go back to the analogy of the typewriter versus the computer. That's where we are. Customizing your proposals. This one here is great. I'm a speaker on it. You know what? I'm going to do this with Dennis's proposal that we did earlier. I hope you guys don't mind. So I'm going to use this. We had there we go. Learning objectives right here. I'm going to take this. Oh, where is your?
Now, by the way, everybody, so we just put in like one sentence and had it look. I actually do use Aiden software. We inputted like pages and pages of background. Like I had a lot of information about my keynotes. And what I thought was really great, we actually revised using one of his tools, which made it even better. But every time we revised it, the quality of the information that came back got better. Yeah. So what you're seeing is literally just, that one sentence that I just spit out and telling it to look at my website and nothing else. When we actually did it, we've got pages and pages of Dennis Cummins information that's not even on the website. It's elsewhere that we put in to make it even more specific. So what you're seeing is like scratching the surface of the surface right now.
Yeah, if we have time at the end, I have no problem showing people how the sausage is made. So that's not a big deal. But yes, the prompt that runs these custom AIs is 7 or 8 pages long. Like it's long, and then it's connected to Dennis's website and his LinkedIn profile. If you've got books, it's all uploaded. Like everything's uploaded in there, so it really is kind of trained on him. But let's say that if I just go customize this RFP for what association would we want to customize your RFP? The American Busing Association. I don't know why, but there we go. And I just paste in your whole thing and hit the enter. It rewrites it for the American Busing Association. So you don't need a special tool. You just need to find out what association you're applying to and ask it if you've got the customized tool. Let's say you create a generic RFP. You can take that generic RFP, and that generic RFP can be customized to any association or any event. Doesn't have to be an association event. I talk about associations because that's kind of my focus for my membership communities, but corporate events as well. If you're just customizing your proposals for specific events, AI can do that for you. And you don't need any special tool other than, I don't even think you need the $20 a month one. You could upload your book to ChatGPT and say, using my book and the RFP, customize it for the American Busing Association and put the American Busing Association's URL in there and make it even more targeted, or the event URL and make it even more targeted. And the output will be amazing. And then when you're submitting it, again, we go back to that personalization, that customization. You're delivering what they need. So when you go to say, I'm a $7,500 speaker or a $10,000 speaker, you've already articulated your value in your RFP. This is the problem that your members are experiencing. This is how my keynote solves it. This is why I'm uniquely qualified to speak at your event. Boom, 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 nice and short. That makes it a lot easier. That way you're demonstrating you're not just picking a number out of your butt, that this is what kind of money I get paid. Here's the value I bring to the table.
Now, a lot of the RFPs that generate, by the way, will probably not, your first RFP may not actually have your fees on there, right?
Well, I wouldn't put my fees on there to begin with.
All right, just to be clear, because we mentioned that, like this is the conversation that you have when you're actually speaking with somebody, and now you're engaged in a negotiation. The RFPs are really designed to let them know wow, number one, you understand their problem because you understand their challenges. Number two, you are an expert in this field. And number three, that you can create transformation for their audience. That is going to intrigue them, hopefully enough, so that you can have the conversation about how you got to pay me to teach you guys that stuff.
There's a speaker, Sally Hogshead, and that's her thing is be fascinating. And that's what the goal of the email and the voicemail is, be fascinating. I can't stress enough how important the voicemail is. First of all, nobody answers the phone if they don't recognize the phone number. So it will be a voicemail. But nobody calls anybody anymore. I did some work with a speaker out of San Francisco 7 or 8 years ago, Joanne Black, and she wrote a book called Pick Up the Damn Phone. And the premise of that was nobody calls anybody anymore. So as a salesperson, and let's face it, if you are a business person, you are a salesperson. If you are a salesperson, picking up the damn phone gives you an advantage, because these people receive hundreds of emails every day from starving speakers. Separate yourself from the starving speakers, call them, leave a message. You're approaching them from a point of strength. You've got a solid offer, you're addressing a problem, and you're offering to solve it.
Now, Aiden, you may not be aware of this, but there's a software that everybody who's part of C-Suite has access to called Emovid. So for Emovid is a way for you to record a video email. So when you click it, their video comes up. That's even better than the phone call, or maybe both, because sometimes they don't get the video or the email, but they will get the phone call. Personally, I would send them your Emovid, because they're not getting that from anybody else. And that's really going to help set us as part of C-Suite apart.
I totally agree. The issue would be opening the email. So if I'm getting so many emails.
So both.
Yeah. So I would always recommend the phone call is going to be the strongest, most actionable thing that you can send out, because nobody does it anymore. Mm-hmm. And my partner at the Association of Society Speakers Community, Ed Rigsbee, he's been a speaker for almost 45, 50 years now. And he says every week, he says, anytime my business has slowed down, as soon as I picked up the phone, business picked up, because nobody calls. It's so easy to send emails that we all do it. So we have our big email list. We send this spammy email to 100 different decision makers at once. It's not customized, but it's super easy to do. But it's very ineffective. It's that customization, personalization, doing the outreach properly. That's what's going to make you. So you can be lazy, or you can be effective. This makes you be effective quickly, and it doesn't take up all your time.
Right. And by the way, if you don't know what to say on your telephone call, ask ChatGPT to script out a 30-second message about your RFP to the prospect. So and let it do with that.
One of the things I would do, so that's good. So we can iterate on that. So this is an important part. So you can say, research the top 3 challenges of my prospect, integrate those into a 20 to 30 second voicemail reflecting how my topic would address those challenges, right? So you get a voicemail. It's like, okay, maybe it should say this as well. So then you add that into your iteration and have it do the research, create that content, create that targeted outreach that just makes it almost impossible to resist calling you back or emailing you back, right? Because it's so easy to ignore emails. But I used to send an email to decision makers, and the subject line was a quick question about event name. And then I have to try and think of some stupid question to ask them so they'd have to respond. But at least that gets the conversation going. It's intriguing them from the outset, getting them to open the email, getting them to listen. They will listen to your voicemail. Everybody listens to voicemails. I get voicemails all the time. I listen to them. 20 to 30 seconds, I can do that.
Keep the voicemails short, ladies and gentlemen.
Nobody wants
no 2-3 minute voicemails.
No,
nobody's
20 to 30
listen.
seconds. And ChatGPT will do the 20 and then practice it. A lot of people don't practice their voicemail. And it sounds like they're reading it. internalize it. Read the script. That script is your script. Make it a part of you so that when you're delivering that script and you're talking on the phone, it sounds authentic. It doesn't sound like you're reading it. Right? You're a speaker.
Here's my tip for speakers. Use notes. Hint number 1, use notes. Hint number 2, don't use notes. So use your notes to get what you're going to say down so you understand it. But when you're doing it, do not read those notes. Just say it as if you're having a conversation.
Exactly.
The bullet points to keep you on track. Use your notes to get your head straight, but then don't use your notes when you're delivering it because you want it to sound like you're having a conversation with another human being who, by the way, is the other person on the line. They're human beings who talk like this, not like they're reading a script.
Yeah, definitely. And I did a presentation just before COVID started. I was in San Francisco doing a presentation, and I was talking to the guy who brought me in. I said, "What'd you think?" He goes, "Oh, it was awesome." It's like, but I would change one thing. I was like, "Oh, well, what's that?" It's like I would take all the text off your slides. Just people can read or they can listen. They can't do both. And which is generally the way I present now. The slides, most of my slides, like obviously today I'm giving you prompts and stuff to kind of take pictures of with your phone. But most of the time when I present, it's just images. And I'm talking, and the only reason there's images on there is they keep it straight in my head. I see an image, I know what I'm supposed to talk about. Right? But that's because I've internalized the content. I know what I'm talking about and I'm confident delivering it. So I don't need go through the bullets here. I don't need to read a page load of bullets. But let's look at some of the other ways you can use AI, because I know we're going to be running out of time soon, and I don't want to do that to you guys. I want to be respectful. So you can use, when I was talking about specificity, when I wrote my book, Booked, a few years ago, I put it into ChatGPT and I said, give me 40 LinkedIn posts from this book. And sure enough, it pulled 40 LinkedIn posts from the book. But as I've become more aware of the power of ChatGPT, now it's not just create 40 LinkedIn posts, 40 LinkedIn posts that appeal to my target audience. I don't care if people outside of my target audience are seeing my posts, but I do want people in my target audience to see them and go, wow, that's exactly what I need. So when you're using the AI, always specify who you're creating the content for. If you've got a book and you upload it, give me 40 LinkedIn posts targeted to my ideal client, which would be whatever. Each post should include a call to action and relevant hashtags. It will do this for you. And again, incorporate industry-specific statistics or quotes where possible. You can do the deep research so that it gives you really, really good, solid data for each one of your posts, and it's incorporating it, it's taking it from your book. But you don't even need to do that. You could just upload your book and say, give me 40 posts that are good for, targeted to not leaders in the not-for-profit arena. And
now, by the way, another iteration on that, Aiden, and it's something that I've been doing, is number 1, I usually ask it to provide at least 3 useful tips for the reader so that it's not just a pitch, so that they feel they're getting value. And then you can also schedule it with the, give, ask model, where number 1, it's just positive information without a pitch. Number 2, positive information without a pitch. And the third one, positive information with a call to action, so that people don't get burnt out like you're always just trying to sell me something every single time. Provide value, and that's going to really build your community around, wow, this guy's really helpful. He's got a lot of great information, and I'd like to learn more.
Absolutely.
And you can get ChatGPT to do all the things that I just said.
Yeah. Again, if you just ask it, it'll either be able to do it or it won't be able to do it. It won't get offended. It won't call you an idiot. It'll just say, it'll ask for more information, or it just won't be able to come up with the information. But what about a follow-up sequence for sales calls? Give me a follow-up email or call sequence to use after initial conversation with the decision maker. If you said decision maker at the American Busing Association and put in the initial email you sent and keep the conversation warm, these are just little things that AI can speed along. I do a weekly email to my 2 membership communities. And I used to write them all from scratch. And then I go to ChatGPT and I say, here's my weekly email to the ASSC, clean it up. And it'll clean it up and make it really, and it knows my humor and it adds different stuff on it. So it's very light, but it just accelerates even the most boring parts of our job, sending like an email sequence. It'll develop those for you. How about rewrite the, so we already did this one in real time, rewrite the RFP for the American Busing Association, include real world case studies adapted to the American Busing Association's challenge. Like, it's that simple. You just ask it there. The trick is to always use the URLs for the events and for the organizations you're targeting. And those URLs should include the HTTPS, because the AI needs to go out and it needs to do that research. And unless you give it the URL, it really doesn't know where it's going to go looking for stuff. You want to speed it along, give it the right directions. I want you to look up the American Busing Association. There's the URL, go to town. Let it do the work. And there we did this one a few minutes ago. We took the RFP, let the AI refine the output. But we could even say afterwards, let's go back to that, because we've got it here. So there's the customized one. I'm going to say, write a 3 email sequence. Introduction. Actually, how are we going to do this? Again, this is the way AI works. So I'm doing this in real time just because I understand how it works. So it'd be introduction, value proposition, and let's see, final outreach. And decision maker. Oh, I'm going to say email sequence and initial voicemail.
Aiden, how much time do you spend setting up your persona where you give it a lot of information? Like, you know, every time you send out an email, you want a call to action. There's certain things that you don't need to retype every time.
Well, it's got memory now, right? So it remembers. It knows my persona. I set it up initially, and every time I use it, it learns something about me, and it remembers that now because I've got the memory turned on. So,
but I mean, I see you have a website generator.
Yeah.
Which I assume is a persona you created.
Yeah, they were just me playing around. They're just me goofing around, which is what I do. But here's
I have like 15 different personas created.
Oh yeah, see, for me, they're a thing I play with. It's like the agents and stuff. I've been playing with that too. But right now I'm playing with it, and when I can find a business case to use it, I'll use it. But they're again just using that simple prompt, write a 3 email sequence, an initial voicemail to the decision maker, introduction, value proposition, outreach. There it is. There's like AI does this for you. And then there's a voicemail script. Right? Nice and easy. You just ask it. And people struggle with this because they're like, what do I ask it? Just iterate. And if that voice, it's like the voicemail seems to, I just say, voicemail seems long. Make it 20 seconds. It'll rewrite it to 20 seconds. Right? Because you don't want to leave the 3-minute voicemail. Nice and easy. All right. Back to my slideshow. All right. So again, the one thing we've learned is be specific in your prompts. Iterate. When you ask it something, don't be afraid to ask it to hone in on an aspect of one of the results. You'll get a result. You go, I really like that part, but I don't like this part. It's like, okay, keep this part, but remember to add in something, a call to action, directing them to this page of my website. And it'll rewrite everything and put that in there. And then again, just to continue if you're doing results for associations and events, and then export as a CSV. So you have that spreadsheet. That will make your life a lot easier. You will generate dozens, hundreds of prospects really easily. Like that's the promise of AI. You could be submitting, 240 or 2,400 applications if you were doing 10 a day throughout the
Now,
year.
you can import the CSV into your marketing cloud account if that's what you're using, or whatever CRM you're using.
Yeah.
And then if you've got automations or workflows set up there, then this is just drop and go, and then let your automations do all this work and outreach for you.
That is exactly. Now, here's another thing that you could be using the AI for, and I've been encouraging people. One of the techniques we use to get in front of associations, decision makers, is to submit articles to the editors of their magazines at the trade magazines. Because the people that are the editors for those magazines work closely with the decision makers who put on the conferences. So the idea is to write an article for them and then ask them before they hang up, by the way, who's the decision maker who brings in speakers, right? Just a nice little sales technique to get your foot in the door. But again, when I was creating the articles for Booked using AI, I just said, write me 20 articles from Booked. Now it's write me articles that are targeted towards speakers and addressing their challenges. And it gives me articles that are specific to speakers, because I don't care if people that are non-speakers see the content related to the stuff I'm marketing to speakers. So if you know who your ideal client is, you upload your book, you say, give me 20 article ideas for X client from my book, and then write those articles. Draft 1,000 word, like if you've uploaded, let's say you've uploaded your book, draft 1,000 word article from your book, or create a piece on emerging trends in whatever industry related to your topic. Like, you want to create content that resonates with your ideal audience and the people that are going to hire you. So you're using AI not to just generate that generic content that we were talking about earlier. We're using AI to appeal to people that can hire us, people that have the decision-making authority to give us a check. That's who we always want. That's the focus. We are running businesses, and the part of that business is revenue. And we need to focus our marketing efforts and our outreach efforts so that they are 100% focused on revenue outcomes. And if there's no revenue outcome on creating 40 LinkedIn posts that are just generic, but there's a revenue outcome, 40 LinkedIn posts that are for manufacturing associations, leaders in manufacturing associations, pulled from my book. There they are. Now I can schedule them to go out using any number of tools that you can use, HubSpot or whatever tool you're using. I use Content Champ or something like that, where I just schedule them to go and they're ready to go. And again, when we were just talking about submitting the articles to association magazines, that if you have generic articles, let's say you want to use 10 articles from your book and they're just 10 generic articles, you can then go to ChatGPT, upload your generic article and say, customize this for the American Busing Association. Customize this for the American Bankers Association's New Orleans chapter. It will customize the article. That way, when you're submitting it to the editor, they go, well, we only publish original articles. Like, it's an original article written for you guys. It's my generic article, and it's been rewritten for you guys. There's my 40 LinkedIn posts. And this one's always good. Creating a 10-part series. So this is almost as if you're creating what would you call it? A course. I created a tool called an online course creator. And again, it's not a tool a lot of people use. It's basically, I did it just as a proof of concept to see if it worked. And what it does is you upload your book and it creates a 5-module course based on your book. So it creates, what unit 1 would be, unit 2, it breaks down over 5. When I did my first online course, it took me months to get it done. And now with AI, within 30 seconds, there's the whole layout of like, oh, there's the 20 videos I need to record. All right, I'll just book an afternoon and record my videos. I know what I'm talking to in each module. There's my course based on my book, based on my content. You can upload your website to the AI and say, create an outline for an online course. And it'll create the outline for you. You can take your workshop, or you can take your RFP, upload it to ChatGPT, the generic one, and say, turn this into a workshop with timeline and outline. Because the model that I promote for speakers is, if you're doing a keynote, that's the grand idea. The breakout is the practical application, and the internal workshops are the implementation. So what you want to do is, if you've got a keynote, offer to do the breakout for free, because that's where the money is. Because that way, anybody that follows you from the keynote to the breakout, your goal is to get them to say, I need you to come into my organization and do some training. And you can say, I just happen to have a workshop that's based on all this content you've seen today. The great thing is, as David Newman always says, you don't really have to build it until somebody hires you to do it. So you can have the outline for the workshop on your website. Until somebody hires you, you don't have to build a workshop. And if they do hire you to do the workshop, it's not next week. You're going to have a little bit of leeway to actually get that workshop put together. But at least you've got the outline of it there that you can start selling.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Aiden, that a lot of speakers and course builders get backwards. They put all this effort and energy, in the past, maybe a year of their time, putting a course and the videos and the PDFs and all the supportive documentation, just to realize that nobody wants to buy it.
Nobody, yeah.
First, sell it. And if they buy it, then you build it. Let them pay you to build the course. Don't do it the other way around. Often it doesn't work out how you think it's going to.
And you'd end up having to customize it anyway, right? If you're going to be going into an organization to do a workshop, you're going to customize it anyway. So the outline that you have on your website for that program that's related to the keynote and breakout that you're delivering, they're going to hire you to do it. It's like, yeah, it's 30 grand for me to come in and deliver a full day workshop to 20 salespeople. It's like, okay, when do we want to do this? I've now got a couple of weeks to put that together. And you can use AI to even help you put it together. Let's create a couple of posts in real time. Just a quick, do I have a lot of time left? I don't have a lot of time left. We'll do this quickly. So if we go to
maybe about 5 more minutes, Aiden, 5-10 minutes max.
Okay, I won't do it then. Let's speed through then. I want to be respectful. So the sample post, you would just upload your book to ChatGPT and say, give me posts for LinkedIn for professional speakers. I was going to upload my book, the Insider's Guide thing. So this is your takeaways from today. You should have learned how to build a prospect list using AI, just using find associations. Here's what I do, problem I solve. Give me associations with websites where this would be applicable. How to personalize your proposals. Upload your generic RFP, customize this proposal for X association, generate 3 emails and a voicemail to go along with that. Share your insights, how to really cannibalize your content and reuse it across different mediums, whether turning that book into articles, taking transcriptions from podcasts and turning them into feature interviews or profiles on your website, and how to close deals with data-backed pitches. So it's doing the research for you. It's making the case for you. This is the speaker prompt sheet. We haven't, which I guess you guys all get it. If I'll send it back to Dennis. That is the jumping off point. It has most of those prompts that I was using today that you can just use. It's 12 pages long. It's a nice big fat speaker prompt sheet. It's actually a speaker prompt mini book, I suppose you'd call it. Use those prompts. They will not only get you started, they will get you well on your way to landing some of those engagements that you're looking to do. And there you go. And if that is too much for you, if you want to do it the easy way, the AI Stage Finder tool is what I showed you earlier. That's all customized on you. If you go to aistagefinder.com, there's financing available through PayPal, so you don't have to pay right away. You can use the code Speak More. You'll save $500. So I don't know if
You're
Rebecca-
actually blocking the code there, Aiden, with
I
your
blocked the code.
body.
Body.
That's the best part, where they're going to save $500.
Save $500 right there. Right? So you save $500 just using Speak More as the code. Can everybody see it? There we go. But yeah, so no pressure on doing that. Rebecca, I think you've got the URL. You could drop that in there. I think I also gave Rebecca a Calendly link. So if you want to drop in the Calendly link, guys, book half an hour on my calendar. I'm an easy guy to talk to. My brand is that I'm easy. So that's easy to get in touch with, easy to work with. So if you got where's my calendar? Maybe I'll drop my Calendly in there if I didn't get it to Rebecca, and that'll make it a little bit easier for you guys. There's my Calendly right there, and we'll go for AI copy down to the chat, and boom, book half an hour. It's my turn. You got my time, and that is it, guys. There's my final slide. I put so much work into the final slide, I've at least got to show it. So there's my email address, very easy to find, my website, shortcircuitmedia.com, and my Calendly link. So you guys can go ahead for that. Is there any questions before we get going? Because I think we've covered just about everything. Obviously, there's so much in AI and it's changing so quickly that next week there'll be a lot more I could do. I could probably do this every week, and it'd be a completely different presentation. That's how quickly things are changing. Is there any questions? Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question.
All right, Evan.
I'm really interested in this tool that you have.
Yeah.
Because I see it as a huge time saver, and I can totally get why Dennis wanted you to show us how to do everything in AI, because you're here to help us and not everyone wants to buy a thing. But as a professional speaker, you didn't seem to sell much into the product you're here to sell.
Because I'm here to give the business. I'm not, people either need my product or they don't. I don't need to sell it. It's like,
Okay.
It's one of those things. I'm pretty confident in it. It's one of those things where if people want to use it, they're more than welcome to use it. I just want people to be successful. I know that there's an awful lot of people in our speaking community that will take your last nickel. I'm not going to be that guy. If somebody cannot afford my tool, I do not want them to buy my tool.
Okay.
Okay.
And Evan, here's the other thing, with everybody that I've invited and plan on inviting for the rest of the year to speak here, the number one thing, and this is a conversation, it has to be a valuable piece of information that explains to everybody how they could do something on their own. That was one of the foundational principles of the Speakers Council, was that it's tactical, actionable, and practical. That these are things that you can do on your own that you don't need help for. And Aiden was very gracious to break down the behind the scenes of what his software does automatically for you in a way that you don't need his software to do it. So yeah, he intentionally didn't sell, but that's out of respect for the Speakers Council and, and our relationship together. I will 100% tell you that his software is killer. It is, it's a game changer. And I've used other speaker gig finder type softwares. There's Sam Richter's Intel Engine, which is also an amazing piece of software.
I was going to say Richter stuff, and Richter stuff actually works well with the tool that I built. You can put his input into there and it works. So.
Yeah, well, I'm going to actually, because I have Sam Richter's tool and I have yours, and I'm going to figure out a way to make those two marry each other and have little babies, because I think it'd be phenomenal. But your tool, from a user standpoint, I've never experienced anything as user-friendly as yours. Just for the simplicity of it and how easy it is to generate the outcome and the output that you want. And again, full disclosure, it created a lot of false positives and things that were absolutely not things that I would be interested in or appropriate for, but you just continue to tweak it. And it's those iterations. And the more that I've been using it, the better they're getting. And again, you're not going to hit everything, but you know, if you've got 10 a day, 50 a week, 200 a month, even just 100 a month, well, if 2 of those come in, that could be 10, 20, $50,000 for you every single month. So, you know, if you're a professional speaker and you're getting those kind of fees, sometimes it's just a matter of numbers. And I know salespeople say that all the time, but targeted numbers are even better. And that's, I think, what Aiden's tool does.
So I also have another tip for everybody here that you don't need my tool for this. If you go to ChatGPT and ask it for the top 20 convention cities in America, it'll give you the top 20. You can then go you can upload your RFP and you can train it on your website. This is just ChatGPT. You can just upload all that stuff and say, okay, in Orlando in October, find me events that would be a good fit for me. And it will find you 2 or 3 events in Orlando, because Orlando's the number 1 or number 2 spot. Like, I've done this list a bunch of times. But let's say then you would do November and December at the same time. So you get a rolling 3-month. You get that 6 to 9 month window when they're looking for speakers. And so you put those on a Word document. And then you go to Las Vegas, the number 2 city. You go October, November, December. Find events that are a good fit for me. You would have, just going through those top 20 cities, 180 events that you can apply to that are targeted for you. Now, it's a lot of legwork. It's easier with my tool, but you can do it on ChatGPT. You can't do it on ChatGPT. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Get those top 20 cities. Start looking for events 6 to 9 months out that are applicable to you. Use the AI to do it. Make sure it finds the websites, and ask for the team page or the contact page, because the people you want to talk to are the events director, the director of meetings, or the executive director. They're the targets, because they're the people that have the power to say yes, the people that have the power to sign a check. Otherwise, you could get in a loop with the logistics person who will ask you questions and keep you on the hook for months and months and months. And then they say, okay, I'm going to pass this off to my director now. You've just wasted all these months smoozing this logistics person that never had the power to say yes in the first place. So go over their heads. Find the meetings director, the executive director, the director of conferences. They're the people you need to find.
Cool.
How's that for a little finale that give you guys a tip on who to find when you actually get this list? Yeah, and I like to say, if you book just 1 extra gig this year, it pays for the tool. Like that's it. Like, it sounds like a lot.
It's not super expensive, everybody.
It's not, when you think about it in the scale of things with the amount but Shelly, you should use the deep research to look up SHRM events all across America, because I did that the other day for somebody. Deep research, SHRM events, if you're looking for HR. Okay.
There we go. Thanks again for being here. Aiden, thank you so much for being part of and sharing your information with our group today. For those of you, whether you're going to, be involved with his software or not, I would have a conversation with him, because he is just incredibly helpful. And I'm sure that he may have some tips. And, if you're ready now or ready whenever, it's some great information so that you can make a better decision moving forward. So if that works for you, that's great. What you see is what you get. And all of my interactions with Aiden have been exactly what you've seen today. He's just a real human being with a desire to help and have some fun messing around with AI.
Yeah,
to help
my wife
more
doesn't understand how I pay the mortgage. Because I never selling anything. Why are you ever trying to sell anything? It's like, I just love helping. This for me is not a calling. It's a joy. I just enjoy doing it. It's better than a real job. So I just enjoy doing it. So
Very awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.